Well, in recent times, there has been a surge in violence in the camps. We have seen a number of criminal gangs that operate there. There have been reports of abduction, of forced marriage, of extortion, and of course killings and threats, forcible recruitment. On the one hand, these are creating very difficult conditions. In addition to that, the Bangladesh government does not allow the refugees freedom of movement, does not allow access to livelihood or education. And their challenges have been exacerbated by the fact that donor support has died down. UNHCR is not receiving the funding that it was pledged. So the daily ration that is available to the refugees has also been dropped. So these are desperate people. They are trying to escape so that they can find a better future.
Yeah, desperate situations. They can't, no education, no work. Do you get the sense that Bangladesh really wants this problem to be behind them, that they don't want to in any way sort out these problems?
Well, the refugees have been there since 2017, and of course there were several 100,000 even prior to that. The Bangladesh government since 2017 has not forcibly sent anyone back, and that is to their credit. But on the other hand, the welcome for these refugees has also died down, and that is quite clear. The authorities keep talking about wanting the refugees to return. But and there have also been some attempts, including verifications by Myanmar officials and so on, them visiting the camps. But the conditions in Myanmar are not one that allow the Rohingya their right to a safe voluntary return. So, but at the same time, when these people leave on the boats, perhaps the Bangladeshi authorities are okay to see them go. The Bangladesh authorities have also relocated a number of them to an island in the middle of the ocean, where they're sort of plagued by cyclones and storm surges. So it isn't, the Rohingya are really not welcome in Bangladesh any longer. And therefore, the Bangladesh government is also not doing enough to ensure their safety. And perhaps many Rohingya refugees feel also creating conditions to make them feel so unwelcome that they leave, whether for Myanmar or anywhere else.
Yeah, it is a risk though to go to Indonesia. The president there has suggested that it's people smuggling, human trafficking behind this. How are they getting there? Are they getting there on boats, and are they part of a smuggling, regime?
Yes, the traffickers that operate in these areas are actually quite dangerous. So what often happens is that they offer safe passage either to Malaysia or to Indonesia. And when they're in the middle of the ocean, often they start actually blackmailing families, demanding more money to ensure their safe travels. So it's a really challenging situation. In that, of course, these are very frail boats, and these people are crammed into these boats. We know last year that several hundred disappeared at sea. Often, even when they show up, these are boats that have no water, no food. And in many places, particularly in Thailand, when the boats have shown up there, the Thai authorities have just given them some water, fixed up their engine, and just sent them back into the sea. So these are people that are bobbing around in a very, very treacherous Bay of Bengal, often risking their lives.
It is sounding so desperate, and of course the world's attention has been so absorbed, firstly with the Ukraine war, now with the Gaza-Israel conflict. Indonesia is a predominantly Muslim country. Do they welcome them? Are they offering them support?
As of now, the Indonesian government has been looking after the refugees, but of course, again, local communities start feeling that their resources are being stretched when refugee communities start showing up on their shores. Several hundred have now arrived in Aceh, and there have been some protests by local residents. This is when states need to step up. States need to be able to not only protect refugee rights, but also reassure host communities and create conditions where the refugees will be safe.
given that this, you were pointing out that UNICEF wasn't getting the funding to support them, is this a big problem now globally, where communities like this are just not getting the sort of charity, the humanitarian money that they would normally?
This is an enormous challenge. Soon after the Rohingya crisis, there was the Afghanistan crisis, and then, of course, there's the war on Ukraine, and now now Israel-Palestine. The world's resources are also stretched, but that does not mean that countries are not generous. Not only generous in providing humanitarian assistance to refugees, but also to the host governments. Bangladesh also needs the support. It needs the support not only to provide for the refugees, but also has to be told that has to create proper conditions, including ending abuses by security forces. We found that the armed police, APBN, which is the Armed Police Battalion that is deployed in the camps, has also been engaged in extortion, in arbitrary arrests, in torture, in beatings, in framing them in cases of drug smuggling or other cases. So it is not really conducive. Now, host governments have to be supported. Refugee communities have to be supported. And really, the wealthier countries of the world should not just sit there and shrug their shoulders and say they do not want refugees and try and push them away. That does not work. These are desperate people. They will go where they can find at least some support. So the only way is to make them safe, make them feel safe, and let them have a future. A Rohingya child who arrived in 2017 has not had an education for the last 6-7 years. They have no hope of going to college. They have no hope of getting a formal education that will give them a chance at proper employment in the future.
Yeah, and then contributing as well to the nations they land in. Good to talk to you. Just quite a terrible situation, Meenakshi. Thank you.
Thank you so much.